So, what's after the creator economy? I want to start with a story. So, a few weeks ago, I came across this tweet. Changi is a musician, a creator from Dallas, Texas, and tweeted this tweet. We've been struggling how to tell people this, but after much counseling and the support of our loved ones, we think it's best to be honest. After taking a DNA test, my husband and I discovered that we have the same biological father. We are half-brothers. Then a tweet followed. We were profoundly shocked, but after prayer and reevaluating our love, we've decided that we're going to stay together. Some would say it is incest, we say it's love. You can see how much attention this tweet garnered, more than 500,000 views. A few hours passed, and then they tweeted this. Update. My husband is not my brother, but we love to love and have fun over stupid little shit. So basically it was all a joke. They just got on top of the algorithm, their stuff went viral, and the internet went crazy for a few hours. In a matter of minutes, thousands of people streamed the little stupid song I made, OnlyFans money came in, and then people from legit, well-known online media contacted me. The world is stupid, stupid shit makes money. Bro, it was the stupidest shit I ever posted and it went viral. Be careful what you say on this shit, lol. So it's easy to laugh about that, but I think what's interesting about it is that when you look at the profile of Changi, he got maybe a few thousand more followers that are mostly inactive now, and his Spotify profile still only has around 200 monthly listeners. So basically, one of his pieces of content that he accidentally or not accidentally published went viral and broke the internet for a few hours, but in terms of his career as a musician, as a creator, nothing changed. That sums up the state of the internet right now. I think the most outrageous, sensationalist content goes to the top, stays there for a few hours, before it disappears again. Now, it's easy to laugh and categorize this as just another internet phenomenon, a meme in a series of memes, a noise in an endless sea of noise. But I believe we're all creators today. Whether we want it or not, we seek attention online. We want our work to be seen. We rely on the platforms to find our audience, and we hope our best to get noticed. Some of us dance on TikTok to beat the algorithm. Others post sexy selfies so they get people's attention in order to convey a piece of information. And even if we don't share anything, we feed the algorithms with our data on what we click, how much time we spend on each post, and how we interact with it. So in one way or another, we're all participating in algorithmic culture. And this is not just social media. This is not just cyberspace. Our entire cultural production has adapted to the ways these platforms work. Fashion shows are produced in the same sensationalist manner. Songs are tweaked so they become 15 seconds hits on TikTok. And TV shows are optimized for maximum share and memeability. There's a persistent pressure to create work within algorithmic constraints. We believe that this flattens creativity. So all the diversity and endless range of how humans express themselves kind of like becomes summarized in these containers that we call content and creator. The effects of the creator economy are manifold for creators. One, content needs to be created in perpetuity in order to be successful. So in order to stay relevant within the algorithms that define which content gets seen by an audience, content needs to be created constantly. A recent study shows that an account with 1 million followers on Instagram needs to post 7 times a day to continue growing a substantial following. In order to get there, you need to post even more. And the moment you stop, you lose. As an example, Ninja is one of the most popular gaming streamers on Twitch, once took a break of streaming for 4 days. He lost 100,000 followers on Twitch during that period. And on an average day, he admitted to spending 18 hours a day in front of his computer, streaming on the internet without break or leave. Secondly, creators are competing with one another. We all know that on these platforms like Spotify or YouTube, 1% of all creators, or even less, gains most 90% of the profit, and all the rest make almost none to nothing. So for example, 98.6% of artists on Spotify make just about $36 per artist per quarter. Thirdly, there's depression and anxiety about posting on these platforms. Nobody knows how algorithms really work. So there's a constant anxiety of what happens if the algorithm changes. According to Kyle Chayka, a journalist that we interviewed for the book, algorithmic anxiety crops up whenever an algorithmic feed, search, or recommendation doesn't give you what you want or what you expect, or gives you something that is totally the opposite of what you want or expect. So we constantly have this relationship with the algorithms that often don't really get who we are or what we want or who you try to reach. Loneliness is another factor. So we all know that the creator economy isn't great, but still we continue producing content, and as we need to post so much, our social lives often get radically minimized, especially those of the people who are most successful on these platforms. These platforms are optimized for individuals, not collectives. It can be incredibly lonely to be a creator. And lastly, burnout is a huge problem within the creator economy. Mental health issues and burnout are the effects of some of these problems that I just discussed. And according to a 2022 study by WeTransfer, out of 6,500 creative professionals that were interviewed or surveyed, 75% of them experienced burnout last year. 75%, that's a lot. So the system clearly is broken, and yet the creator economy is growing year by year. According to Forbes, there are over 50 million independent content creators that form a new generation of micro-entrepreneurs that's currently valued at over $20 billion. So you might just see the big platforms, TikTok, Instagram, OnlyFans, Spotify, but there's actually a whole ecosystem around it that allows creators to grow, to own their audience, monetize their audience, manage their business, and so on. That's where the economy comes from behind the creators. The influencer global market size is growing year by year, and the creator economy is just getting started. As this graph said, say this aloud, I deserve to make a living doing what I love. And there's even tools online that allow you to basically test your earning potential as a creator. So you put in 100 million followers and the tool gives you back of how much money you can actually earn. What I love the most about it is that it even compares that salary to traditional jobs such as lawyer or doctors, clearly indicating that if you become a creator with 1 million followers, you're gonna earn more than being a doctor or lawyer. So it's a much more desirable career. Which brings us to the fact that some surveys say that around 30% of 8 to 12-year-olds in the US and probably also in other countries nowadays aspire to become YouTubers. So becoming a creator and making it online has become a hugely aspirational thing for people to be. And the high priest, where you see the success of this whole economy, is in people like Gary Vaynerchuk, who is basically the person who has, for the last decade or so, preached to small entrepreneurs and business people to create their side hustles and to work hard to really make it on social media. And now he basically switched to the creator economy, where he tells anyone to become a creator and just create content in perpetuity in order to make it and become rich. Now, all of this sounds problematic, and it is problematic. And the common answer to all these problems is, well, you don't have to participate in it. It's a free market. If you don't want your music on Spotify, don't put it on there. If you don't want to dance on TikTok, don't do it. If you think you spend too much time on social media, just switch it off. So we still have the agency to do that. But I don't think that's true. It's not that easy. I think the problem we are facing today is twofold. One, most of the infrastructure we had before to share, discover, distribute, and monetize our work has become insignificant. Think of legacy media like print magazines, concerts, radio, record stores. They still exist, but no one really believes they're gonna make it by having their record featured in a record store or their photos printed in a print magazine. Yes, you can opt out of social media and platforms, but it won't get you anywhere. And secondly, the world isn't in a really good state right now. We have little to lose because we already lost everything. Stable jobs, affordable homes, education that lasts a lifetime, and worry-free retirement are no longer an option as it used to be for 1 or 2 generations before us. Even money itself ain't what it used to be. It just sits there on the bank and loses you value. So some studies say anywhere from 10 to 40% of Americans could be classified as gig workers already. The reality of tens of millions of people is you can drive an Uber, deliver Amazon packages, or become a creator. So my question is, how did we end up here? What we did in the magazine is we tried to analyze the past and the present of the creator economy, because we believe the creator economy didn't just happen overnight. So this is an actual double page from the magazine itself. Some of you have it in your hands right now. A short history of creating, distributing, and monetizing work on the internet. I just want to highlight a few of the factors that I think really got us to where we are today from over the last few decades. So number one, back in 1999, around the end of the Web 1.0 era and the beginning of the Web 2.0 era, blogs started to appear. We all know that. Soon after, RSS feeds came. And I think RSS is an important invention for us to understand feeds. So before, in the Web 1.0 era, we had to go to different websites, different blogs to find stuff that we like to read. Suddenly, feeds made it possible to aggregate all that information and have it in one feed, which then leads to the situation we're in now, where we have algorithms structuring that feed, and also all the content basically being in one little container, completely stripped out of its context. So we don't really have any more control of like how our content is being presented. It's just an item in a feed. This is where it started. Secondly, AdSense by Google. So around 2003, people started to monetize their blogs by putting ads on their blogs, which of course then led to, I can earn more money if more people see my blog posts. So what am I going to do? I'm going to optimize my headline, my content, so that I get more eyeballs and maybe have less people read the entire thing, but make more money from advertising. This is what the whole creator economy is being built on. And already back then, one of the theorists of that age, Clay Shirky, defined basically this area in this article of power laws, web blogs, and inequality, where already back then, by analyzing all the blogs out there, he realized that only a few make it to the top, and all the 90% below it actually don't get any views or very little views. So this same power distribution that we have in the creator economy today already happened in blogs back then. The second theory that I find interesting in relation to today is Chris Anderson, the writer, editor of Wired magazine back in 2004, who basically published this very popular theory of the long tail. The long tail basically defines that in the internet age, digital information is abundant and can infinitely be produced and reproduced. So this leads to an entire new economy of long tail entertainment, where you still have like some stuff that rises to the top, but a lot of other smaller creators basically doing niche content in the long tail of content. And thirdly, this was then added on to by Kevin Kelly, who published this theory of 1,000 fans, where he said, basically as a creator, you don't need more than 1,000 true fans that each buy something you create every year for $100, and then you make 100K, and you can actually make a living out of it. So there's of course much more to the history of the creator economy, but what I find interesting is that what all of these theories have in common, besides they were all conceived by white men of course, is that they only focus on the upsides of the creator economy. As Gary Vee says, the opportunities are enormous. This leads us to the foundations of the creator economy. So based on this research into the history, we wanted to debunk the system of the creator economy by carving out a few of the foundational concepts that it's being built on. So number one is abundance. Digital information is abundant with low or almost zero marginal cost of production. Digital content can be nearly infinitely replicated. Secondly, individualism. Individualism is a value system that prioritizes independence, self-reliance, and individual merit. Third, personal media. The opposite of mass media that we used to have back in the days of radio and television, personal media describes the creation of content and media targeted at niche audiences with specific interests, speaking of the long tail. It is often created on demand or in dialogue with an audience. Algorithms, a structure to organize and distribute content based on individual behavior. A common narrative in the creator economy is the internet enables each of us to earn more than ever before by matching us with the exact people, fans, customers, employers, who value our unique combination of skills and characteristics. It enables each of us to become a superstar, as Gary Vee says. And fifthly, growth. Economic models for platforms that often incentivize split scaling, rapid growth, and value extraction over creator interests. So growth is probably the most important metric that makes people behave in the way they do in order to make a living online. Now, lastly, before we go to Austin's talk, we're going to build on that. I want to talk about the words we use in the creator economy, because we also see that language and context matters a lot. So let's be precise about what they mean inside this system. Number one, content. Content is a container of information optimized for distribution. Creator is an individual who creates in perpetuity, forever and ever and ever, until they eventually burn out. Community is an audience whose attention can be monetized. As simple as that. Creativity is an unlimited resource able to capture an audience's attention. That's what it's for in the economy. And fifthly, attention is a limited resource, probably the only limited resource in the digital age, of an individual's focus on a particular item of information. So we have to fight for it, and the one that gets the most attention gets the most money. So how could it be different? How can we share work in ways that feel right to us, not compete for attention on a feed? How can we be in greater control of the ways that our work is presented and seen? What would an environment look like that is more collaborative, resilient, and meaningful? How can we focus on creating the most meaningful work, not the most popular work? How can we sustain this work on our own terms? What's after the creator economy? We believe that there is a way and that it could look like this. Now Austin is going to take over and guide you through some of the ideas. Thank you for now.